Hey, how's it going? I got a viewer. Welcome, welcome. This is my first stream. Still don't have the camera set up yet, but just check this out. Just kind of drawing Black Cat in my own style from my cosplayer friend Arabella Cat. Just trying to have some after night or after midnight drawing. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just trying to like break down forms. Nothing crazy right now. This is like the pre-sketch phase. What I just try to do is just try to get like a figure in, just try to get an idea where I want to go with it. From here is when I'll decide like what things I want to change on here. Do I want to add some more hip girth or a little bit more to the chest area? And then I just kind of block in the hair. Nothing crazy. I'm gonna up the brightness of the background a little bit. I feel like it's gonna look better on screen. I'm just gonna write on here too. Just in case, anyone comes in, they don't know who it is. I'm just having some fun tonight. I feel like this is the best way to kind of get your bearings in for the rest of the week. I don't know if I'm gonna keep the air conditioning unit. I'll probably decide something else. Maybe like maybe the side of a building would probably look a little cooler. Because the whole goal is not to copy, shot for shot. I'm more going for the gesture of the character. Put some buildings in the background here. Like I said, it's a really loose sketch, because now is when I really start going in and start blocking in areas. Can you hear me okay? Don't be afraid to leave a message in the chat. I don't bite. And then I like to draw my girls with a little bit more area for, bigger eyes. And then right here, just kind of block in that area. And then I will up the brush a little bit just to block in some of the areas where I want to shade. I'm going to just shade this in here. So it looks really messy, but that's the way I like to draw. A little mess here and there is not going to hurt anybody. So then I'll duplicate it. I will leave that one alone and then put another layer here and just really drop the opacity on that. And then I'll grab my sketching pencil. It's one of my favorite pencils. And here is where I kind of like really shape the area. I use the side of the Apple Pencil. Just blocking those areas. So I'm already finding mistakes on the first sketch because I put her head a little too low. So it's gonna look wonky, and for that I'll just start over. So I want to bring the head just up just a little bit. That's what I like about doing a sketch. right off the bat. It kind of gives me an idea, and then if I see something that doesn't work, I can always go back and fix it. So I'm going to change it. In the reference photo, she's kind of holding her hair, but I think it'll look better if I have her hand right under her face. I think that'll look pretty nice. And then just kind of get down here. She's got a kind of weird pose in this photo. I gotta ask her if she's got any other ones of her as Black Cat. If you get a chance, please follow her on Instagram. It's Arabella Cat. She's super cool. I like to always ask permission from cosplayers before I use their photos for reference. I am going to extend those hips just a little bit. I like my girls a little bigger when I draw them. And then right here, I'm going to try to follow through. This is the pelvis. I can't wait till I can get the webcam set up, because right now the computer's webcam is kind of a pain because I have to draw far away. I'm disabled, so I can't sit at a desk, so I have to draw in bed. Kind of sucks, but artists always find a way. Alright, so here we go. Now I'm going to really start putting in the detail, because I kind of have an idea where I want to go with this. So I'm going to shade down here, block that in. A little bit here. And I try to do the 1-3 rule, you know, either one finger with 3 or 2 fingers. It just looks a little bit more natural than drawing them, you know, separate. So now I can really start working on the face here. You'll see what I mean about I like drawing the eyes a little bit bigger. So here I'll start with the top eyelid. And then the top eyelid here. A little eyebrow here. I'm not too worried about the mask right away, because I can always draw that after I've figured out where the face is gonna be. Now I like to make little noses, just enough to make it look different. You want it to look different from other people's art. Not necessarily anime, not necessarily comics, just kind of in between. I think I like that. All right, we're gonna and then from here I can kind of block in the mask. I don't have to really fill it in just yet, because I'll go in later and and really start adding on to it. And then here I will block in some more shadows. And kind of connect them here. Not sure how loud the music is. Hopefully it's not distracting. I have no way to really monitor the sound just yet. My XLR microphone is not accessible at the moment, so I'm using my small lav mic. And it's covered up here by her hair, so I'm gonna have to I'll decide later if I'm gonna put hair there or not. And then here, flares to just kind of signify that's where it's gonna be. So I'll get rid of that original sketch, and then I'll just lower the opacity on this one and start really getting more in depth with the detail. But for that, I think I'm going to change to a different brush. Yeah, I like that one. This eye is kind of really covered by the shadow, so I have to kind of figure out how I'm gonna really tackle that. Oh, a little bit of a lag on the iPad right now. It usually happens when it starts to get a little warm. So I have it plugged into the computer and I'm running Procreate, so hopefully the lag kind of cools down a little bit. I want to see how good that looks straight on. That's all right. I think that's looking all right. Hopefully I'm not missing any chats. Like I said, this is my first time using Kick, so I'm just gonna check here to make sure. So just let me know if I'm having any glitches or anything like that. First streams are always tricky to kind of get used to everything. Just give me 1 second. I don't think I can make the brush any smaller. That's a little too small. That's a little bit better. I'm gonna extend the eye just a little bit just to match the other one. Just looking at it again, kind of looks a little off. I think that looks all right. You know what? I'm not really digging how that brush is looking. It comes with the territory, just figuring out what works. Something tells me this needs more of a sketchy look to it. Yeah, I think I made the right call. There's just something about the sketchiness that looks good on it. Sometimes I like to like zoom out just so I can really get a good idea. And then here, I know in the picture her eyebrows aren't showing, but I really enjoy seeing eyebrows. It just brings the face together. So now I'm going to, now that I finished the mask, I want to make sure there's nothing here that can get in the way, so that way I can block it in with some black. Once the black comes in, it always just brings the image to life. I think I'm going to make her lips just a little bit smaller. Probably about here. Yeah, that's a lot better. I like the smaller lips with the tiny nose. It's different enough to stand out. And I do leave these hatch marks in once I color. Probably won't get to the color tonight, but I like leaving the hatch lines in here. Maybe little hatch lines here might help too. I like to give her a little softer chin. I think about there is good. Happy little chin. There we go. At least I know where the hair is heading. So I can make that decision now or later if this is going to be hair or if I'm just going to leave this area open here. So from here, I kind of want to tackle this hand first. So, you know, these are all, I'm just talking out loud so you guys can hear the decisions I make, like in real time. Because sometimes, you know, especially if you've been drawing a while, you don't want to get bored. So you'll change up where you normally go, and you'll kind of do things a little differently. So for this one, I'm gonna do the hand so that way I can really block out that hair. And because she's changing the direction of her hand in my version, I'm gonna draw the hair coming out this way. And some of the fur from here I can start filling in. You know, I have a fur brush, but I prefer to just draw it myself. It's really relaxing to sketch the fur. Just sketch everything. Then later on you could decide, hey, I kind of want to get rid of this and I'll use the brush instead. You can always make those decisions. That's the best thing about art, is you don't have to stick to something. I always say don't get married to your piece. You can always change your mind later. Start fresh if you need to. I'm not gonna mess too much with that right now. I just want to block it in so I can start working on her chest. So for the chest, I like to be a little bit softer. So I'll up the brush a little bit and then kind of go in one direction with the side of the Apple Pencil. As I'm doing this, I'm kind of deciding, hey, am I going to do this in watercolor, or am I going to do this in paint, or am I just going to like do some highlights, like maybe just black and white with the red on her lips. See, and that sketchiness kind of bleeds through, and I really enjoy it. And then right here, just fill in the top of that suit. And now I can start working on this arm here. Eventually, I want to start using my bigger tablet, but because I am stuck in bed, it makes it really tough to kind of have it on my lap for a long period of time. The iPad makes it really easy because it weighs very little. So I have it propped up on my stomach, and I think once I can get the wheelchair set up where I can draw from the wheelchair, I think it'll be a little easier. Now here, I'm not sure if I want to make her glove go that far up, because here I'm kind of right at her forearm, and then so her elbow probably stops here. So I guess I could start it there. Then from here, go down to the hand. Now, I don't know if you noticed here, but it's really simple how I drew it, but then I'm gonna really put some of the details and really start adding all the wrinkles and folds of her glove. And because she's black cat, I added some spikes or claws to her fingernails. All right. Now here is where I need to decide. Is this hair gonna flow all the way down? I think it is. It looks nice enough. She's supposed to be a cat, so she's gonna have a lot of fur. Here I'm using hatching to kind of show depth. And then later on you can just go in and you could add the demarcation lines for, you know, her stomach and her pelvis, her crotch. Make it a little thick here. and then bottom of her thigh. Now once all this is kind of drawn in, is my favorite part, because it's very relaxing, is I'll just go in and start hatching. I love hatching. It's stuff like Vagabond, which is an old comic from back in the day. The line work in that was freaking amazing, so that always stuck with me. So I always love the way hatching looks. That's why I leave this a little loose, because I like to see the hatch marks. So here we go. That's a little too big. That's better. As you see, I'm going in one direction, but I'm slightly curving the hatch mark. I do that because I feel like it adds like a nice texture to it. And here I can really thicken up the outline. And I did that so that way, because she has so much black, when I color it, I'm probably going to use more blues than black. It's just going to look a lot better that way. Now it's a small little decision time. Because the hair is white, I'm not going to shade too much of it. I'm just going to do some lines to tell me, like, yeah, this is the hair. This is definitely the hair. Don't go bonkers with it. One of my favorite things about drawing Marvel characters, especially Black Cat, is because one of my other favorite characters is Catwoman. So I kind of give her the Catwoman attitude when I draw her. And Catwoman always looks so bored. So I think every drawing I've done of Black Cat, I've drawn her like with more apathy than anything. Give me one quick second here. I just need to get a drink. Alright, I am back. Just got something to drink here. That's the one thing. When I used to stream on Twitch and YouTube, sometimes my late night streams, I'd be talking so much that I have no voice the next day, so I have to learn to kind of modulate my voice so I don't really kill it. I don't know how some people can do 3-4 hour streams without losing their voice the next day. I think it's pretty cool that Kick allows you to live stream as soon as you sign up. I think that's really cool. Let me take a look here. I got an error. Misconfigured. What is going on? Updating to 2 seconds will reduce viewer latency. I don't know. That is so weird. Okay, it's showing up. Alright, I just wanted to make sure it was up and running. I didn't want to just be streaming to nobody. Another thing I really enjoy about drawing Black Cat is I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and especially in the animated series from the 90s, whenever Black Cat showed up, it was always like I knew it was going to be a good episode, because that means like other people would show up in the show too. So I have this nostalgia for Black Cat. The new Spider-Man show is pretty good too, the one on Disney. I'm kind of happy that it decided to do something different. It's not the typical Spider-Man thing, But yeah, I appreciate everyone who's popped in for my very first stream on Kick. I guarantee you in the future it will be a little bit flashier. I'll have I'll have the chat up and I'll have my webcam on. Just still trying to figure things out now that I'm, kind of stuck in purgatory. That's what I call being stuck in bed, is purgatory. But shout out to Don Flurgandy, because on his channel he's kind of he's the one that kind of made me want to switch to Kick. I didn't want to live stream on my YouTube channel anymore, just because I feel like it muddies up the feed. And instead of just making a live YouTube channel for my drawing, I decided to just go on Kick, and then I can always upload the VOD later. So that way both people can see it, or the YouTube people and the Kick people. But I'm even though I'm stuck right now, this is the most creative I've been in a long time. And I think, you know, with health issues, it kind of puts your life in perspective and gives you a lot of time to think. So I've just been thinking a lot, and instead of thinking about real life things, I just think about cool ideas and robots and monsters. So I have a lot of fun with that. Hey, we got a new viewer. Thanks for coming on, watching. I am drawing Black Cat from Spider-Man. And now I think she's more popular because of Marvel Rivals. You know, one of the bad things about, you know, starting a whole new streaming channel is I already have a built-in base on YouTube, but at the same time, it's nice to branch out. That way everybody can see, you know, art is about sharing. And I think nowadays people want to see genuine work. They don't want to see stuff prompted on an AI machine. You know, they want to see stuff made with the human mind and being genuine. And I think that's why so much of the streaming and YouTube landscape is changing, because people don't want any of these grifters anymore. People want somebody who's genuine. So, you know, I've always tried streaming before, but now I'm finally doing streaming a lot more. Like I want to focus on it more because I feel the tide is shifting. Everybody wants genuine interactions, especially from some of the streams I go to. It seemed more of a community, and I think that's good for art. We need the community in art. I think so much is changing online that streaming has kind of been a constant. So it's like that, where we always see where things have always been. So we kind of always see it as a home to come back to, you know. I think got to spread more positivity out there. I've never been a doom and gloom guy. There's always a little bit of hope out there. I think that's what art does. It gives people hope. Especially when there's an artist out there who's not getting the views or, you know, getting noticed. When you give them positive reinforcement, you give them that support, they tend to be around longer. And I think because we don't really have that third place anymore, the communities in the real world is kind of slowing down. So it's nice to see communities build up online. And all it takes is just to go to one artist and say, hey, that's awesome, great job. That positive reinforcement goes a long way. Positivity is key. Don't get me wrong, I can be petty too, but being positive is so much easier than being negative. So right here, I'm just kind of blocking in the face a little bit. Because this is the area where there's definitely no light. Or there's a little bounce light here, especially on the nose. But I plan to be a lot more consistent with streaming now that I'm stuck at home. You really do take for granted going out and being out and about. And I do not like DoorDash, I'll tell you that. I don't know how many times they screwed up my order. So here's a little tricky because there is light coming in from here, but the hands are gonna catch the light on the outside. So I feel like shading this with a harsher light and then kind of hitting this with a little bit of softness here. And this is something you can do too with pencil. That's why I like drawing with this brush, because it mimics the pencil really well. So here how it's kind of like starting to fade away, and now the light's hitting this area here. So where her head is at, instead of going really dark, I'll just do a nice light shade. And then from here, I will start shading in one direction as well. And then this is the hair that's peeking in. On a future stream, I plan to do my comic book out here, so people get a sneak peek of Minute Eye issue 4 as I'm putting it together. It's kind of the boring stuff, just writing in the text boxes. But it'll be nice to talk to people while I'm doing it, because it's a lot like editing. Editing is so boring. So it'll be nice to have people to talk to while I'm doing all that work. So here, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna black out the boots and worry about those later. The same thing I did with the mask here. So then the background's not completely white. This would be all the way white. So I'm going to keep that like slightly down, because what I'm going to do is now I'm going to make another layer. I'll put it underneath, and then I'll use complete white. It's always just a little off. It's never completely white. And then just a little here, here. Probably in tomorrow's stream I will do the color, and then the following stream I can do the comic book stuff, because like I said, that's more tedious, it's a little boring, but it'll give me a chance to really talk, because sometimes when I'm drawing it I kind of get lost in the drawing, so I'm not talking as much. Oh boy, it's getting hot in the room. I turned the air conditioner off because I didn't want it like to feed into the microphone. Those air conditioners are loud. So I'm gonna up my brush a little bit and put a little reflection here on her breasts. Not a lot, just, and then we're gonna definitely fill this in white. Just so when I color, I know exactly where the white's gonna be. So this is gonna be like off-white, so I think I'm gonna go, when I color, I'm gonna make it like blue. And a little white here. And then here, I'm only gonna do the tips white because this part right here is still kind of gray. And then we're gonna do some red, hardcore red for the lips. Forgot the brush was still big. You know, when you get really close, the brush is huge, so you want to make sure you get all of it. There we go. Now what I could do is I can just repeat the layer like that. It makes it a little darker, so I might just keep that. And then for the mask, I'm gonna go over white, and just with like a small brush, just add some hatch lines going across the mask. 1 or 2 lines here. Then a little bit here. And because there's so much light coming in here, we're really gonna push that white. Now, I don't know if on the, oh yeah, in the picture she's got blue contacts on. She's normally, I think she has hazel eyes in real life, so let's go like a light blue, just a little darker. You know, when you paint in real life, it's funny because some of the hardest colors to duplicate are these right here. This area right here is so hard to duplicate in real life because you have to mix blue and yellow to make green, and then from green to purple, and then you get gray, and then you start adding white to lighten it up because it's going to be like a mud brown. In painting, all brown is, if you lighten it up, becomes gray. It's weird how that works, but I had to figure it out the dumb way. So you know what? Maybe I got some time. Oh, we'll push the stream till 2 in the morning. Why not? I am going to go ahead and put in the skin tone. So for skin tone, what I like to do is I'll just grab all this area here with the lasso tool. It's going to look a little messy, but I'm okay with that. I'm going to avoid the hands because that's part of the costume, and just get all of her where her body's showing, and we're going to pick the color. So I'm probably going to go right about there, slightly darker. Boom. Now you could also go over with watercolor. So what I'm going to do is we're going to lock that layer so I don't mess it up, and then right over it I'm going to use watercolor to really start bringing out the flesh tones in her body. So for that we're going to go slightly purple. That's a little too much. Go a little bit in the blue. Yeah, it's what I was worried about. Let's do. That's a little bit better. You got to be careful because using digital watercolors, they like layer on top of each other. So you want to get the area you're going to get in one shot. So I'm gonna try to go a little bit bigger here. And then we can darken it with some color in the red. Just here, just these areas. And what's nice about putting it in separate layers is that you can mess with the saturation level separately. So don't like too much how that looks, but that's okay, because here is the awesome thing about working on layers. So I just combine them, and let's say, you know, I want to either go a little bit darker, or maybe that color just doesn't work for me. So we can kind of change with the hue here and just find that nice medium where I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna just start over. Ugh. See what I mean? It's okay to start over. It is okay to start over. Happy little accidents, right? So, what is that? Okay, let's erase that. So I'm going to take this brush, I'm going to go slightly more in the yellow. It's a little too yellow. That's good right there. I like that one. That's a good color. So we're going to keep that color. Instead of the lasso tool this time, I'm just going to go in because it's already kind of a messy drawing. I love doing these messy drawings because, you know, there's no real rush. It doesn't have to be perfect. So now I'm going to go back into the purple and just darken up these areas. And I have a really great blending tool I really like. I might be able to show you guys and gals in a minute once I punch in all these colors here. And that's why I don't really care if I'm going in and out of the lines, because the blending tool does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to this area here. So I'm going to lower the brush a little bit, and we're going to use the yellow now for where the light's hitting. I think that works a little bit better. You can put a thumbs up in the chat if you think that looks better. I think it looks better. I'm also practicing a lot because I'm working on a sci-fi board game cover. So it's got like a pulp look to it. So I think that's why I'm really trying to pick these pulp figures to really work off of. So here is the blending tool. So I'm going to duplicate it. Now I'm going to go back to that same tool and just, that's too saturated. Maybe in the green. Yeah, that's good. You can even go in color balance. You can even like pick a little bit more red. So this is the blending tool. This is my favorite tool. It's called Blend Smudge. It's from Jing Sketch brush pack. So I'm gonna go in here and just lightly mix the colors together. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then right here, we just start blending it in. And the reason why I picked like a redder hue for the body is because if I'm gonna go blue with the suit, I really want it to pop. So now we can go blue. Now I'm gonna color pick this real quick. So that's purple. Maybe I'll go a little blue this time and go a little darker. And it's okay if you come out the lines here, that's fine. But if you want to be a perfectionist, you can just lower your brush and just really get in there right here. Well, you see what I mean? Like, I leave the hatch marks in there because it just tends to make the light pop more once you start adding in the reflections like I did here. Another cool trick in Procreate is the ability to do complementary colors. So if I wanted to go the opposite color here, those are the two opposites, so you could really kind of play around with color relationships. Just remember that when you use the opposite color on the color wheel, it mutes whatever color you just put down. So if you want to keep it vibrant, I would recommend to stay within the same family. And what I mean by family in color is the reds. The reds are right here. You got your blues here, and then your yellows. So in this family, that's why there's a yellow green and a blue green, a blue violet and red violet, because red violet belongs to this family, blue violet belongs to this family. So it's just a good way to just remember, you want to keep stuff vibrant, stay in the same family. If you want to mute it, or by mute I mean tone it down, then you use the opposite color somewhere on it. And I'll show you that right now. I love teaching. It's just one of my favorite things to do other than art. I wanted to be a history teacher originally, but so let's say I wanted this to stay to pop. So what I would do is then I would stay in blue, up the intensity, and then just add that blue. But let's say I wanted to mute it. You want to mute the color, so you're gonna pick orange, and now all of a sudden this blue kind of calms down. It's not as vibrant as it was before. So those are some things you just be cognizant of when you're coloring. It will add to your, I always call it a quiver of arrows. Your art is like a quiver. So anytime you learn something new, you're adding on to the quiver, and you can always use it later, or not ever use it again, but it's still there. You can still, go back to it when needed. So since I already have this darker blue going, I'm gonna just attack the rest of it with that same darker blue, because I already know that this blue works for me. So let's do that. And if anybody's watching on YouTube when the VOD goes up, just remember to like, share, and subscribe. And anybody on Kick, just hit that follow button. I really would appreciate it. The goal is to, I'm gonna be realistic right now and just set my goal to 25 followers. I know that if you set smaller attainable goals, you get less stressed out about the number and you worry more about the quality. And that's my goal on this channel, is to bring some quality to the channel. I don't want to make AI slop, and I don't want to put out anything negative. This is a positive zone here. And once I grow a little bit and I start seeing regulars, I'll start making some moderators, but still all early. This is my first stream, so I'm still learning the kinks and getting everything out of my experience. So I appreciate everybody who's come on the stream, popped in for a little bit. It means a lot, you know, especially just being new on here. All right, so I think we are good for that. Now we can start shaping in the background, but I want to get some of her hair, but I'm not going to go, you know, white to gray. I'm probably going to go more like a soft lavender, because it's going to make the white on her costume stand out. That's why I didn't go with an all black costume. And you'll see why I did this. Oh, I already painted that part of the hair. Before I start blocking in the background, I'm gonna go back up on the light source. I'm gonna go slightly off, so maybe like light purple here, and really just to give the illusion of reflection. Oh, well, got a little too overzealous there. And a little bit here, some squiggles here. So now we can start focusing on the background. So we originally put her on like the edge of a building. So I'm gonna grab this blue and just block in this area. It doesn't have to be pretty, because what I tend to do with backgrounds anyways is I'll use chromatic aberration or the blur to make it look like it's further away. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And the light source is coming from over here, so I'm gonna just darken this area. So depending on what part of the building I'm gonna make this. And then right here, and we will put the back of the building here. I might add some like brick decals later. And then this would be the top of the roof here. And then behind Black Cat, we got the buildings. And for that, I'm gonna just go really subtle dark green. I do have like a building brush, but you know, for this pic, I'm not gonna go digging around in there. Look at all these brushes here. It's too many. So for now, just for the stream, I'll just do this. And then go a little bit darker for the background. And then with that same brush, we're lighting it up. The night sky's a little light. So just with it, the brush as big as possible, but as light as possible. Just so we can catch those buildings. Wait, what happened to the buildings here? Did I completely color over the... Oh, yeah, I did. Jamie. You make those little mistakes. So as light as possible, just enough so that the buildings kind of peek out. And you can even darken those up a little bit. And then right above that, I'm gonna add kind of like a harvest moon. And then with the selection tool, just selecting, well, we would have to flatten those first. So let's flatten that. This is what I mean about being able to kind of give the illusion that it's further away. So now you didn't spend all that time drawing the little details there. Now it looks like it's further away, and we could just focus on this building. So right here, we can find a brick texture. Well, I'll just paint it for now. Just to give it that texture look. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see it on stream. And then I believe I have the texture, organic texture. Come on. Any day now. I recently had to have my iPad replaced, so a lot of my stuff's missing. And using the cloud takes forever. So because the moon is hitting this brick, I'm going to subtly and you can go in a brick pattern. You can do whatever you want, so it's not a big deal if you don't. So I'm gonna hit it with some of this gray here. It's the fun of art. Love it. Now this color here, I'm gonna just lighten or I'll darken it just a little bit so that you can kind of see the brick texture. And then down here where you can even darken it a little bit more with some purple. It's like a gray purple. And then you can hit the Gaussian blur, but not by a lot. And then a little chromatic aberration. And then what I like to do is once everything's figured out, I will combine everything down. Why is it saying flatten? Ah, okay, never mind. Do not mind me. So I leave that layer there and then I'll flatten this. So now I can move her around if I need to, which we're not. But what's nice about doing that is that now you can really get in there and start blending in some of the areas that might bother you or stuff you might want to change. Like right here, I can bring in some of that shading and push it out. And then right here. So I'm still leaving in some of the hatching, but at the same time I am giving it some texture. some life. Because that's one of the things I never understood about comics back in the 80s and 90s. They were all about extreme, but everything looks so lifeless and stiff. So I think that's why in the early 2000s, when they started doing more characters with a lot more life in them, I got drawn back in. I missed a spot there, so I'm gonna go back to, where did my brushes go? Oh, there it is. So I have a nice brush for fine line detail. So I'm gonna go right in here and just really give it a nice shine, even though Cat here does not have light on her lips. It's more just a change in lip, you know, the value. I think I'll add it just to give it some more little oomph, you know, because now from far away it just kind of looks alive. And here in the eyes, I'm going to darken that up a little bit. Just a little bit, not a lot. And then I think we're coming close to the end on this one, just for tonight. It's not bright enough. I'll make some strands come off a little bit here, some strands here, just to make it have some life. And then I'm gonna soften some of this here, right above her breast. It's just a little bit not to my liking, so I'm gonna go in and just soften that up a little bit. Just enough. I love this brush for softening, because it's really subtle, so it doesn't ruin the effect completely. Some smudges, like, it's like you're pouring water on it. I don't want that effect. I think that looks a little bit better. And then right here we can soften up some of these hatch marks. So you can still see some of the hatching, but let's say you didn't like that, you can revert and just do like a really soft, and then go over with your sketcher inker and go black. And then right here you can kind of continue those hatch marks. And you can make them go in one direction, or you can kind of give it some shape. I tend to think that when you shade in one direction like this, it looks more uniform and kind of gives it a little bit more life. And then right here, just a little bit, not a lot. So right here, these lines here, I'm gonna fix a little bit. So I'm gonna use the smudge, my other smudge tool. Just tap. It's like Happy Gilmore. Just tap it in. You know, by just tapping it, you can kind of give that effect of it being a costume. But let's say you don't want to do that. Let's say you want to go make it more reflective. For that, I love this smudge tool. We can use texture paint. This smudge tool, it gives it this cool, so you can kind of go in one direction and really smudge it out. And then right here, do the same thing. Then right here, just well, that's it. We made it to 2 a.m. Thank you so much for everyone that popped in. Hopefully I'll get the chat fixed. It might be on follower only, and so there might be a time limit. So in the future, just things that gotta work and, you know, eventually fix. But I appreciate everyone that came by. It really means a lot. But I'm just gonna tag this. Thank you so much for watching, and just remember, do something nice for somebody. Spread the positivity. I am the Art Sensei. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to keep it over 9,000. Take care.